Om Shanti, nourishing the soul. Why is it that I sometimes feel lonely and alone? Why is it that sometimes there's an emptiness, and yet at other times my mind feels too crowded with not enough space? Why is it that sometimes there is fear and anxiety? All these are the signals of the emptiness of spirit. Am I going to allow this to continue? Or can I take steps that'll alter the situation and allow me to return to a state of fullness? I had forgotten to give myself time to be able to nourish myself. I've been aware enough to look after my physical needs, and with attention, proper rest, proper nourishment, and exercise, this precious physical instrument of mine is managing well. However, I've forgotten to look after my inner being, the soul. Firstly, I want to at least become aware of my inner being. Very consciously, I detach my thoughts from this physical body of mine. I separate myself from the body so that I can live in the awareness of my eternal being. I distance myself for just a few moments away from the limits of the body. I, the soul, stepping away from the limits of the body, become free. It feels as if I can now breathe again. I had been caged, and now, recognizing myself, I am free. The freedom nourishes the spirit. As I begin to breathe, I realize that this is what I had been missing. I hadn't understood because I hadn't looked. But now I am free. I return to new life, and I nourish myself with wisdom, with truth. In the awareness of eternity, I stay connected with truth, that which is immovable, that which is the unshakable pillar. As I nourish myself with the power of truth, I satisfy the hunger of emptiness within. I feed myself with the understanding of wisdom, which extends into eternity. The things that I have been seeking in the material dimension all change. They come, they go. It connected with truth. I catch a glimpse of eternal wisdom, that which is unchangeable and constant. I am nourished. Om Shanti.
Good evening, everyone. So wonderful to see everyone again. And today's topic is self-care and healing. And so we'll go into that a little bit. And I was thinking, in essence, for me, what is self-care and healing? And I feel for me, what is, the experience of really taking care of myself and healing is like this meditation commentary that we just heard. When I can really nourish myself from inside out. And it doesn't mean that I do less, but in the doing, uh, I'm like self-sourcing. We get self-sourcing puddings, and but in that my light is switched on. And so I love this saying where I heard somebody said, to have balance is not to be able to do everything, but to have balance is to be aligned to what truly matters to you. And so, this aspect of self-care and being truly aligned to me, then it's not about what I'm doing, but I'm living my purpose and I'm living with meaning at every second because I'm true to what matters to me. And so, so when I was just, in essence, trying to see what self-care and healing means to me, and that is when I'm in alignment with my truth, who I am. There's also this beautiful saying that nourish your roots and you will keep growing and sustain the tree, and so my roots is who am I in all that I have to do. Because often, we living in a world where we're so caught up in the doing, and then because I'm way out of balance in all the doing, I feel I must do nothing, and then I must do self-care. and and so we swing to the opposite pole. But like this commentary shared, they might still feel an emptiness, a hollowness. And so to fill that compensation, for a lack, not with more lack, but with wholeness. Because often we do a lot because there's some hole in the soul. And so we try and fill the hole by taking our sense of self-worth, or trying to deal with corrupted thinking patterns. I'm as only good as how much I do, so all those imbalanced thinking patterns and ways of functioning in the world, make us feel like we're out of balance and we've swung, to one extreme. And so we try to swing to the other extreme by doing nothing. But that's not the accurate way of healing from the overactivity, or from, taking from the addiction to action. But it requires, returning back to wholeness and coming back to who am I. And so for me, when I switch on that awareness of who am I, no matter how busy life may be, it's really as if everything matters at that moment. And so to what extent can I keep switching on that light of who am I in every scene of my life? I always think of Dadi Janki and how she lived life. Never a moment was dull or where the light was switched off. I think I may have shared how, once she had traveled from America and a long trip and a very busy schedule, almost a flight a day to South Africa. And when she landed, straight off the plane, meeting 50 of us and on the stage to greet us. And she's a short dynamite, shorter than I, and I'm quite short, and her little feet, just dancing on the stage as she's seated on the chair, saying, when my feet touched the ground, I asked myself, why am I here? So never a moment without awareness and purpose and meaning, even if it doesn't have to be something loud, but quietly, can I live every moment switched on, with that power of who am I in all that I do. And that is why she could go, and there was a time in her 80s, she was doing about 140, 50 flights a year. And so that was when I had first heard about her in the early years. And I thought, wow, we need to recover after a trip, no matter how young we are. And here, this amazing Dadi Janki, but really living from inside out. Her helper had to force her to sleep. She'd still want to keep sharing her wisdom and her light with all of us. And in the morning, bright and ready to meet her day at 3:30. And she said, that in life, there should be first she would start saying that there should be 95% self-service and 5% service. But if you looked at her life, it looked like she was serving the whole day, because meeting people from 4 in the morning till 11 at night. And so you would think that, what is she talking about? Because she's always serving everyone else. And then in her latter years, she said 99% self-service and only 1% service. But till her last moment, she was surrounded by people. But, it may be that I'm surrounded by people, but the self-service is keeping that light on with deep attention and awareness. And so that's how she lived. And so no matter how much may need to be done, can I just keep my light on, keep that balance of this living being in the body, and this being that's switched on, not just this body that's heavy to carry around and is tired talking and working and walking, but fully aware of that light that gives meaning to everything, and the role that this body has to play. And so so for me, self-care is coming back to who I am in every moment and every breath of my life, and living life with that meaning and purpose, and through that, great healing can take place, but it requires great attention. But we'll also share other tools and techniques on this topic of self-care and healing and nurturing habits that can uplift me at the level of body, mind, and spirit, the topic of today. And so simple ways in which we can recharge and create balance. And for yourself, just to reflect on, when last did you truly feel balanced in your body, in your mind, and in your spirit? And in your mind, just take yourself back to that moment when you truly felt balanced in your body, your mind, and your spirit. And when was that? Was it quite recently, or was it some far distant childhood memory? So any thoughts about when last did I truly feel balanced in my body, mind, and spirit? And so this aspect of self-care, to really check, am I taking care of the self? Because it is not selfish. Somebody this week was worried about another and how, what do they think? And I said, just take care of yourself. If each one of us took care of ourselves, the whole world will be a happier place. Don't think what the other one is thinking. and whether they are struggling, because they are also working on themselves, and so if we could all just do what we need to do, and that self-care as well, so important, not selfish, but when we care for ourselves, and for me it's about taking care of that inner energy, then that self care then can support that growth in all the vast trees and branches of my life. So if I nourish that, if I nourish the roots of that inner energy, and let it then support and sustain the tree. So let's look at these aspects with regard to caring for our mind, and then our body and our spirit. And nowadays, the aspect of caring, for this mind, I loved again what Daddy Janki would share. And I'm remembering I was walking in Oxford with her and somebody else, and I don't really know Hindi, but somebody came speeding into the retreat center, and she wagged her finger at her and she said, you're always rushing about. And she said, but Daddy, there's so much to do. And but that whole feeling I gathered from her was, no matter how much there is to do, Can I stay anchored in, that peace, that stability, that power? Can my mind not be restless but productive with every thought? Because what happens is when there's a lot to do, we might think a lot. And because we think a lot, the flurry of those thoughts also create a bit of anxiety in our movement and our action, and we lose so much energy because those thoughts are not being translated into productive energy, into action or word. And accordingly, many experience you as anxious or always in a hurry and a flurry. And so I loved what Dari Janki said about the mind, caring for the mind. She said the mind is like a baby, and what do you do with the baby? You rest it and you feed it nourishing thoughts. And so, nourishing food, that's what you do with the baby. So similarly, with the mind, to rest it as often as we can, so that means no thoughts. So absolute stillness, because in that stillness comes creativity and power. Many a revelation, a scientific discovery was in silence. And so, to the extent that I can really rest the mind, then when thoughts are created, it holds that power which manifest. Like you have somebody in the room who talks all the time, and then you have somebody who doesn't talk much, but when they say anything, everyone wants to hear it, isn't it? Because it holds that power versus, one who's chattering away and not much is translated into power, into action. And so, yes, caring for the mind, to think less, and to feed the mind with nourishing, positive, empowering, elevated thoughts. And so, I like this one little exercise we had done where somebody asked us to close our eyes, and you can do that, and just say hello to yourself. How would you say hello to yourself? And is this the sort of greeting you would share with somebody you are so excited to see and meet? I know when I did it, I thought, okay, that sounded a bit dry. And so I thought I could improve my greeting to myself, isn't it? Sometimes when you're going to meet a friend, it's like so excited. And so, can you also be as excited to meet you every morning? So every morning when you wake up, greet yourself and see, how am I greeting myself? Is it like hello or hello? So quite a different tone, isn't it? So so what's the nourishing attitude, thoughts that I feed the mind? Or is it the self-critical voice that drags this body around? And nice to everyone else, but to what extent is there that attitude of wholeness and appreciation and value and understanding and kindness for the self? And so the first aspect of the mind, caring for the mind, can I rest the mind, feed it nourishing thoughts with silence, with positive thoughts, and also to some habits that you could take care of with regard to caring for the mind is a digital detox. Because we do sometimes waste time on screen time. And now it's become addictions, and you have clinics to de-addict people. It's crazy what's happened. But yeah, so it's important to have some discipline with regard to no screen times of the day, and that could also support caring for your mind, because we are influenced at least 85% by what we see. So whatever you're seeing on that phone or wherever you're seeing it is playing in your subconscious and influencing and driving your ship, sailing your ship. And so you think it's innocent, it's mindless, to give me a break. Poor me, I work so hard. I need some entertainment. But it is having an impact. And so that could also support caring for the mind, because the mind is influenced 85% by what you see and about 10% by what you hear, and the other 5% is the other sense organs. So you are influenced by your sense organs, predominantly by your eyes, at least 85%. So it plays on the mind, what you saw, versus 15% what you hear, or 10 to 15%, and then the other 5% is the other sense organs. So what you see, you become. So that's why for self-care, that caring for the mind, that digital detox would support you as well. And then the other aspect of caring for the mind is, can I not only think and think and think, but can I be an observer of my thoughts? And so observe and learn, and not absorb. I know a friend once said that you can even change a situation just by observing it. But when you get involved and react, then you perpetuate, and it becomes like a monster. But this art of observing is very powerful. It can cause, many threatening situation to dissipate. So can I learn that art to observe, so that I take care of my mind, and then I know that my thoughts are separate from me. So I care for my mind in that way. I don't allow it to have power and consume me, because I'm keeping a healthy distance where I'm the master of the mind. So that's also like a habit one can inculcate. So observing, silence, positive, empowering thoughts, a detox from screen time. And so these few little habits that one can inculcate with regard to self-care and the mind. And then the next aspect is nurturing the body. And I love this one slogan I had seen, where it shared that your every cell is listening to your every thought. And I was quite scared when I heard that. But if you're made up of about 40 trillion cells, and all these cells are absorbing all the energy of your every toxic thought, or your every powerful thought. And that's Dr. Emoto, who's done studies that proved that matter, in terms of cells, like water cells, can absorb your positive thoughts of love and peace, or your negative thoughts of anger and hate. And if you section and freeze the water that were exposed to hate and anger, they look like sludge. But the water that was exposed to love and peace looks like crystals. So similarly, our body, all these thoughts you're flushing through all these cells, and either making them sludge-like or pristine and beautiful. And so no wonder the impact of our mind on our body, of our thoughts on our body. And so that is why, become more self-aware. For self-care of the body, become more self-aware with regard to what's happening in your body, and listen to the whispers of your body. I remember a friend of mine I don't know the name of the therapy, but she was doing a little exercise with me, and it was after working 12 hours a day, driving across the city, seeing many people. I did feel I needed to slow down, and so she did like a body scan, and and she asked, what were your knees saying? And my knees almost felt like they were saying, if you don't stop, I will stop you. And I know we're laughing about it, but the truth is, we don't know how we just push ourselves like a machine, not ever appreciating this machine, this beautiful machine that carries us around. And so sometimes just stop and listen to the whispers of your body, and that's self-care and that's respect, as you would respect another. Respect this body, so that you prevent it from screaming out with illness at a later time. And so the importance of taking care in that way. So to practice body scans where you can just check in and listen to the whispers of your body, so that with loving kindness you can support the healing of your body rather than just pushing it until it breaks. And so different aspects that could support you is being in nature, grounding, mindful eating, mindful movement, adequate rest, and just some time out where you have time for you. So we love what we do, but sometimes just do nothing and be okay to do nothing. And regularly scan the body and have that grateful attitude towards the body. And so these are some habits you can inculcate to to nurture your body. I remember whilst I was a meditator, you can take the body for granted, but there came a point where whenever I would sit for meditation, I immediately just started saying thank you to every part of my body, and I don't know where that started. I think I was so wound up from busy casualties or toxic work environments, and so I couldn't sleep. So after a call, so I would have to like scan my body and put every organ to sleep so that I could sleep. And so in my practice then of meditation, just scanning and relaxing, because you don't know how your body is so wound up from the activity, from the thinking, because every thought creates a contraction as well in the body, and so important to look at some habits to nurture the body. Yes, and then this aspect of the spirit. So we spoke of the mind, the body, and then awakening the spirit. And really, like I shared, your spirit is that inner light, and if that inner light for me is dim, then nothing uh, matters. Life is ordinary and hard. But when I switch on that light of awareness of who I am, and I live with meaning, in tune with, that light that I am, then every second holds power and peace and love and joy and gratitude and kindness and everything wholesome. And so, can I stay in that in all that I do? I don't think life is going to get any quieter, but can I switch on that light of awareness? And like I shared Dadi Janki's story, she said 99% self-care and 1% service. But her life looked like she was only serving, not doing any self-care, because she was always surrounded and uplifting people, and it's because of how she served. So so she was totally lost in who she was, and her service wasn't about what she did, but was about being in alignment with who she is. So that's what she meant by 99% self-care. So when I'm truly in alignment with who I am, then that's real self-care, and that's true healing, because we've lost ourselves, our true selves. We've gotten further and further away from our essence, our power, our love, our peace, our kindness, and that has caused deep hurt and sorrow and pain. And so healing comes by returning back to that pure essence of who I am and all that I do. And so for this, can you really ingrain it into your understanding that my power comes by staying connected to my core, my essence, and that will give power to everything I do. I can do a lot and I can keep running on the hamster wheel, but it can be empty. My actions can be quite empty, or they can be very full with that power from within. And so that is why the habits that one could inculcate for self-care of the spirit is silence as often as I can in the day, is stillness. It's how I begin my morning and how I end my evening. I was just sharing how we did workshops in Harare with the prison wardens, and after the first day, a few of them, started their morning at 5 o'clock and started 10 minutes just quietness. And the one brother who never even heard of the mind and how you can use it, he said, I just began my morning with some of the exercises you did yesterday, and it's like I felt such energy in my spine, and I've never felt better in my whole life. And and another lady, a prison warden, she was saying how she's never felt so positive, just connecting with that light within, connecting with her truth, because we really like corpses walking around, dead men walking, so lost in the madness. So all of us, so lost, totally lost and far removed if I'm not switching on that light. And so 5 minutes in the morning, and what a difference, 10 minutes in the evening before I close off my day, before I sleep, and the power of that habit of self-awareness, and in the morning and in the evening and throughout the day, and how it can really awaken the spirit and promote that self-care and healing. Yeah, and so for me, the essence is really to have that balance, and that balance is not swinging from overactivity to underactivity, to feeling like I'm being too selfless. I need to become a bit more focused, and the self focus that we need is that attention on being in the doing, and that's what it is for me. And so being aligned to what matters, every day we see this is what matters. Even as we attend today, we had a funeral that we had to attend, and like the priests were saying, from dust to dust, and that's what it is about. All that remains is the light. And if you didn't switch on the light your whole life, how are you possibly ever going to switch it on at the end of life? And so yes, don't just be the dust or the corpse. Live with meaning, live with purpose, and stay connected to the power of me. I didn't come here to just live a slave's life, a slave at the mercy of the world, but to be switched on and to live powerfully with meaning. And so those were some thoughts on self-care and healing. My personal thoughts and just some habits that one could bring into my life, so that I can create that balance, and recharge, and I can uplift the mind, body, and the spirit with these simple practices, and so simple, hey, and for free. you know and but it just takes your investment in yourself, and often, possibly, we have this pattern of putting yourself last, but to put yourself first, and to put yourself first doesn't mean anything difficult, but just turning within, you know, and switching on that light, uh, and letting nothing and no one take away my truth, my happiness, my peace, my love, that which I am. So maybe we can have some questions, if anyone has any questions or thoughts on this topic of self-care and healing. And if anything comes up, yeah, so that will help with more sharing in the room. Anything? Any thoughts on self-care and healing?
I find myself always rushing,
Mm.
and I keep on telling myself, you've got the whole day. Take your time.
Yeah.
Why? I'm actually talking to myself and saying, no, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's that awareness, that constant awareness of when you're being rushed around, is just to take a moment to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
just be still for a while, and then
wonderful. So yeah, somebody sharing in the room that, the constant rushing, and yet there's no reason to. And so she reminds herself, I've got the whole day, but that constant awareness and the constant realignment with patience, with kindness, because for 40 years of your working life, you were running around multitasking in the clinics. And so then you got the habit, and now breaking it. So it's wonderful you're breaking it, because you have to act on a bad habit. You have to stop it, starve it. Otherwise, it's an addiction. And you don't know why, but you still addicted to that madness, that habit. Yeah.
myself and keep on saying, stop it.
Yeah. Yes.
What's your story?
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. So she says she keeps telling herself, stop it, stop it. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes just stop what you're doing and just breathe. It only takes 30 seconds, and you can realign and powerfully enjoy the next hour. So that traffic control, also a powerful practice, to stop, realign, and remind yourself you're calm. Let that flow into your mind, into your body, and then restart whatever activity. So that reset, so powerful in the day. Yeah. And yeah, many can say, I can't help it, that's my nature. But you can keep saying that till your grave. And if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So it's wonderful that you are making that concerted effort. It might feel difficult, but once you start, you're enjoying it. And yeah, and so and you're resetting totally. Yeah, any other thoughts? And then a question here, with exams arriving, how would you recommend balancing studies and self-care? So yeah, so with exams, it can require last minute cramming, I'm sure. But the importance of movement, that helps, with your refreshment of your brain. And huh? Yeah.
Breathing.
Yes, breathing, and eating healthy food as well. That also supports that. And so these simple practices, studying and then walking, even you don't have to go too far. You could, if you've prepped well, you can, there doesn't have to be this question of balancing. But if I have not prepped, then I can study, walk around the house, drink water, ensure there's meals that support the brain, and so definitely it's possible. I know when the last day would come, I would say I have 24 hours, each hour is 60 minutes, 60 times 8, I still have so many minutes. So as a medical student, I used to coax myself in that way. But, because your thoughts can get anxious, at that time. And then I used to remind myself, I'm loved. I love my studies. So then again, it's not the doing, but it's the being in the doing. And then I would be less anxious. So I used to use my spirituality to help me with my concentration and that self-care from inside out. And so yes, there's a lot of time. It's how we use time, and that's the problem. We waste a lot of it by thinking, getting worried, when just do it. Why think about it so much? Just do it. And so that's also important, because a lot of time can be wasted fretting about the examination than studying, studying, and having some healthy techniques within there. And then another question, good evening. What are some more examples of self-care that we can practice weekly or daily? And how often is the minimum when it feels like there is just no time for self-care? And so the little tools that we gave were, as long as a minute, 5 minutes, like we shared, just when you wake up, if you set your alarm for 5 minutes earlier, jump out of bed and sit up and, in a chair and just greet yourself, have some powerful thoughts for the day. That's self-care already. Then you're feeling great as you're showering, as you're eating your breakfast. So that doesn't require time. It's all the things you do every day. But you make it meaningful rather than stressing and worried and in a hurry and confused. So even though you feel as if there's no time for self-care, and that's the complaint of all of humanity, as we said, if you don't do it for yourself, no one's going to do it for you. And so yes, so simple practices like waking up 5 minutes earlier, having a reflective session and a meditation before bed, some moments, as you're driving, as you are walking, as you are eating, be mindful, be focusing on who am I and what I do. So it's the simple things and the consistency with which I do it that gives me the power. So to consider yourself as an energy, and every time you turn within, that light shines brighter, is recharging. So it's like a cell phone battery, so every time I connect to myself and to the source, I'm recharging, isn't it? So then that importance of that, bringing a higher power into my day, connecting to my power, because all that external power can be robbed in a second. The real power lies within. Yeah, so such thoughts. And another question, I always thought self-care was selfish till I joined these spiritual sessions. I put others before me, neglecting myself. So that's how you were before, and now it's wonderful that you don't see self-care selfish, but really, if I take care, I can pour from a cup that's full. But if I don't take care of myself, you can't pour from an empty cup. So I cannot be of any benefit to anyone else. And so, yes, self-care, so important, not selfish. If you understand the world as energy, 8.5 billion beings of energy, when you're sitting quietly and switching on that light, 8.5 billion beings are feeling some peace and light. So don't think you're insignificant, nobody, but you're not alone. The whole world is connected and is also coming alight when you come alight. And so to do that, and wonderful. So any other thoughts or questions? I hope those sharings helped with some of the questions on there. Yeah, and so really, don't wait till you're old and broken to take care. Because slowly, like we said, the body is screaming as well, but take care now. And it's in your hands to take care. So wonderful. So I think there's no more questions on the group, so we should end then with a meditation. I'll guide you through a meditation. So I invite you now to just sit comfortably and relax. And as I'm seated here, I just feel so encouraged to be me, to switch on that light of who I am, this peaceful and powerful light. And as this light shines in the center of my forehead, dancing with so much life, I allow that energy to flow with each breath into this mind, into my body, and with each wave of light and life and peace and power that flows from this light, all my trillions of cells just drink up this light that I am. And with each breath, this light shines brighter. And the currents of peace and love and light just flow into this body, into this room, into the world. My every thought flows into this body, into my cells, into the world. And so in this moment, I have such love for this vehicle, this body, that tirelessly and patiently and powerfully helps this little light fulfill its purpose. And so I send waves of thanks and love and gratitude to these feet that have carried me on this amazing journey of life. Feeling so grateful to these limbs. Taking a deep breath in, I breathe in peace and life and love. And breathing out, I just let go of any tension, any extra thoughts. My every thought is precious and powerful. And so as an observer, I am fully aware of my thoughts and the magic they can do, or the heaviness they can bring. And so I choose to observe and learn and grow, guiding these thoughts so that they are most powerful. And yet, as often as I can, I also rest. I rest the mind. Because I know in the silence lies true power. In silence, I return to my essence and I connect to that supreme essence, allowing that waterfall of love and compassion and peace to just flow all over me so that I fill up and healed and whole. I then radiate that to everything and everyone. And now gently I bring my awareness back to this moment, just remembering to shine bright, to shine brighter and brighter, no matter what. Shanti.
Press allow. There's your name.
A lot of people on that.
Mm.
Mm. 14.
Mm.
I think it's finished because she said coming back.
Oh.
Eh?
Uh, not it's a copy. But just saying, yeah.
You close it down.
Hi, we done. We ended with the meditation. Take care.
Oh, they are done.
Thought so.
Mm.
That was nice, that little
Mm.
bit.
That little bit, yeah. Keeps you grounded for the next time.